Hi, everyone. Welcome to Beacons of Balance. Thank you for being here with us today. I'm Arlene.
I'm Joanne.
And we have wonderful Dr. T, who I'll introduce shortly. Thank you for coming on. As I said, Beacons of Balance, we're here. This world is a place of duality. It's not going away. It's up, down, left, right, black, white. So we're here to share pearls of wisdom from different speakers and what we just have to talk about, always in love and peace. This is Anthony Dr. T. Cahill. How would you like to be addressed? Dr. T or Tony or?
Dr. T, please.
Dr. T is your primary. Okay. Dr. T was a doctor of chiropractic. He has a Bachelor of Science in Human Biology, a certified clinical hypnotist, a certified massage therapist, and the originator of the world's foremost remote healing training, which is called TNT, Total Knowledge Technique. And the N comes from KN, big N, knowledge technique. And also has 10 online programs that could work on humans and animals for things that are going on or misgoing on in their lives, which is wonderful. So you could tune into that. So thank you so much for coming on. It was a little challenging because I think with the solar flares going on right now also, don't you feel? But you're actually right now in Nicaragua, right?
Yeah, and there was the first winter storm of the year hit last night, and I can't believe I'm even here. So wow. I'm pretty excited. There's a lot of lightning, a lot of rain, and then very exciting wild storm in the night. So that could be interfering with the internet connection. But I'm just glad we got on and we're here. Thanks for bringing the angels in to make that happen.
I want to tell everybody, Joanne and I were working with the angels, and we know the communicators, Archangel Michael, so we were doing our thing.
Gabriel, that's what we were.
And Dr. T,
it worked. It worked. I was on for an hour. I couldn't get on. All of a sudden, boom! It came through on my phone.
We got them on. We worked with them. So, Dr. T, God, your background is so fascinating. I was really, when I found out about it, I was really drawn in and resonated with things. So tell us about your, really your beginnings. I mean, how did you have so many facets? I read a little bit and heard you talking about your past, where you grew up. You grew up on a farm?
Yep, I grew up on a small farming community in Illinois called Stockton, Illinois. And my father was a chiropractor in the town, so he worked on all the local farmers and all the all the local people. And so being in a small town like that's where all the work was on the farm. So I always spent most of my time on farms throughout the summer and then mostly in the winter. But growing up in a family with a chiropractor, Dad was into a lot of stuff early on back in the 70s. Acupuncture. He learned acupuncture, but one of the first in America to learn it back in, I believe it was mid 70s, like 75. For his mother, who was suffering with arthritis. So I've always had that kind of the background around healing. He was very much a lot of supplements, fresh food, fresh milk from the farms, fresh meat. Mom always did tons of canning. So we always, we kind of were a very holistic family. But I had no interest. I mean, that wasn't for me. I was more of I don't know. I just always thought I would be working on a farm.
How many? Do you have siblings?
Yeah, six. Four sisters and two brothers.
Wow, that's
so. Just quickly, so have any of them? Do they pursue medical, or you were the?
Yeah, I have a brother is a chiropractor, very good chiropractor. He does different, we do different work, and then this my other brother fixed machines in hospitals, and all of my sisters are involved in healing in one way or another, whether it's horses or farm or just awesome. Being healers. It's just natural. Everybody in my family is kind of around healing in some way, shape, or form.
Great. Wow. So how did you get involved with the angels? Because I know you were on a farm, you had several injuries on the farm, but how did the angels come into your life?
Well, it's kind of a long story, but I'll make it short. It just started happening naturally. I got injured on the farm. I got shocked. I was cutting a giant implement, a giant disc, and it was a real misty morning. I was probably 14. And I got shocked and it was out of body experience. And I rose up out of my body after about an hour. Looking back on the time frame, I was out a couple hours. It knocked me out completely.
Out.
But as I rose up out of my body, it's like I could see my body as I was rising up, and everything kind of just turned into an operating room. All of a sudden there's 6 doctors standing around with their masks on, all looking down at me, and they had flashlights on their heads, the whole 9 yards. They're just standing there shaking their heads, and then this very large, bright white light came in. It was a woman's voice. and they just kept looking, kind of poking me, and I had no idea what the heck was going on. I'm like, I was just kind of, I wasn't really conscious. I was watching all of this happen, and that bright light just came in. Sorry, boys, he's going back, and boom, it was just like a flash, and I woke up on the floor.
Amazing.
And I had no idea what had gone on. I walked down the milk house, and of course my boss was like, "You get up there and get that field plowed, boy." I mean, that's kind of what you did back then. I was like, I'm going home. I was roasted. My gloves were roasted. My boots were burned.
Holy, wow.
I went home and basically I just kept it to myself. I mean, I tried to tell. I told my dad what had happened. He was kind of like scuffed. He was busy. He ran up. So, when you're with a family of that many kids, you don't get too much attention from your parents.
I have to laugh. Could you imagine in this day and age? I'm sorry, I don't want to laugh about, but you're electrocuted. You go home. Your parents go, "Oh, go do your thing." Just
go do your thing.
Could you imagine now? Oh my God.
Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah. There's so many times. So many times. Yeah, and back then, we're talking probably again like 1975. There was no internet. There's no bookstore, no library. I mean, the library had no books at all on any of this stuff back then. There's no new age stores, none of that. Plus, I was in this little tiny farm town. It just none of it would have made sense to anybody back then. And so
let me interject. When you saw the lights on and those weren't actual doctors. So in other words, you weren't taken to a hospital. That was what you saw when you were out of your body. So those were other beings looking at you.
I don't know. I always assumed it was my mind that made up this metaphor of these. I mean, I don't know. They look like doctors. They look like surgeons.
That's what I was going to ask.
And they're like poking me and prodding me, and they're just kept shaking their head. No, I'm thinking, I'm just sitting there going, what in the heck is going on? And about a year or so ago, a client brought me a little statue of an angel, and she said that this was based from the Old Testament. This is what the angels look like in the Old Testament. Well, I opened up the gift. I was like, that's what I saw. It looked very much like that when I was a kid.
Wow.
They don't look like our depiction of angels, what we think of it. It was a different looking, it's like a giant wing, very similar. Yeah. But if you look at the Old Testament, the diagram of angels in the Old Testament, you'll see this diagram. That's what it looked like. I was pretty shocked. I was like,
that's who you had working on you. You had angelic intervention that did the healing on you. And that's how you were able to come. Because if you were electrocuted, Dr. T.
I know. It's a little further in the story. When I was trying to come down the stairs after I slept for like a day and a half, the town electrician was downstairs talking to my dad. My dad worked in our house, and us kids would have to wait upstairs wait up above the stairs before we walk through the office to get into the living room. And so the town electrician was there telling my dad, he's lying to you, Ronnie. There's no way. It's impossible. There's no way he would survive that many amp, because I was cutting 2-inch thick steel. So I didn't even look at the amp. I just turned it all the way high as the machine would go. And the welder is known as a tombstone model.
Oh, that's good.
So, and then of course back then all of our equipment wasn't very good. The farm I worked on, this wasn't very good equipment. And somehow it was a misty morning. Somehow all that getting shocked like that, I shouldn't have survived that, really.
Wow. Did they ever come back to you in that form, or just show up for anything?
Not as clear as that one. I had one other experience with them where it was similar, but not as clear as that. And again, I just found out about that whole image in the last year. And so when I did have that experience again, I didn't know what to look for. It was everything was happening so fast. It was, it's almost like a warp in time when you have that experience. Everything kind of slows down. Sounds are different.
Right.
It's thought transfer, instantaneous thought transfer.
Yes.
So I was there thinking, hey, I want to come back. I want to get my body.
Everything's telepathic. It's like
absolutely telepathic. Yep.
Yeah, because I've had several.
Could you bring us back then? Because you have so much, like I said, and we have limited time. Could you go back so the steps? So you were 14, you got electrocuted, went through that. So then go through the steps of now what happened in your life as far as what steps you took on what you did.
There was, I had a lot of different jobs. I had a lot of different things I was doing. I wasn't involved in healing at all. Mm-hmm. And another long story short, as I got injured, I tripped over a leaf basically and snapped my leg in two places through both medial and lateral malleol. It's called a bimalleolar fracture. It's next to impossible to happen. I tripped over a leaf and snap. I look at my girlfriend. I'm like, I just broke my leg. She said, oh, come on, get up. There's no way. You just sat down. I said, I heard it. I'm pretty sure. And so I did. I sheared my leg in two on a leaf playing a game. And as I'm recovering, that's when they came into my mind, literally came into my mind and said, you're going to school. This is what you're doing. You're going to become a doctor. And it was a little more blunt than that. It was really short, sweet, but it was like, no more games. You're going to become a doctor. You're going to school. And there's a whole background around all that, how that all happened. I'm finishing my book so that people can read the whole story. I don't really have time to get through all of that, but next thing I know, I mean, it was completely a chiropractor helped me with some pain that I was experiencing. I had another angelic experience after that pain was released. And then 3 months later, I slip on a leaf and break my leg in two places.
Unbelievable.
I'm a pretty agile guy. People would call me a monkey. I'm pretty athletic, and
funny you said
I don't
that.
trip on leaves.
When you were coming out, I said to Joanne, I said, he's in Nicaragua. I wonder if the monkeys were chewing the wires.
The spider monkeys got him.
Yeah, well, I'm still pretty shocked that we're on here right now. It's pretty cool. I'm really glad this happened.
No, keep it going.
Well, we're glad you got through.
So you got the message to become a doctor, but you were also a massage therapist, a hypnotist, clinical.
Yeah, I started with that because there's a couple of accidents in there where I got hurt. One of my bones was not healing. And on my way home from the doctor, he was like, okay, you got about 2 more weeks and we got to do a massive surgery on you. We got to take a bone off your hip, a vein out of your leg, and replace, because it's navicular bone. It's very hard. It's the hardest bone in the body to heal. Of course, I've broken it twice. So the second time I broke it, he was like, yeah, if this doesn't happen, we have to do this major surgery. So on the way home, I saw a garage sale I stopped at, and there was a book, Heal Yourself with Hypnosis. That's not the exact name. A couple of women had written the book, and they were throwing it out. So I flipped the guy a quarter, took the book home, opened it up, read the first chapter, and I was like, well, I can make a cassette. So I just made my own cassette and listened to it every day, 4, 5, 6 times a day for 10 days, I think it was, and went back in, and it was completely healed. So that opened up my mind to like, wow, I can't believe. And the doctor was like, oh, that stuff doesn't work. I mean, he'd been seeing me for 6 months. It wasn't healing. And we healed it in 10 days. And so that really got my mind moving towards health and healing.
Yeah.
I studied it, spent a couple of years studying hypnosis and a lot of different things. It really has it's really helped me in my life in many other ways besides just that form of healing. And then these things start happening. And, this doctor was like, gosh, Tony, I've known you for 6 months. You've had 10 different jobs. As soon as you get in there, you figure something out. You're just bored. And so you move on. You'll never figure out the human body. You'll never figure it out. It'll keep you busy the rest of your life. And he was right. And so that's how when I got the message, I was like, okay, I'm done. Because even when he told me that, I was like, there's no way I can't go to school. I mean, I was 35 years old to take my first college class. I was just like, no, I can't. Plus I was terrible in school. I was a daydreamer. I was never, I was a typical not home. I was really great at skipping school. And so.
How did you get the title of human engineer? That's pretty
Benha,
cool title.
He was a client of mine 20 years ago. I hypnotized him. I massaged. I did all these different things to him. And we finished the session. And he sat up. And he's just like, oh, my God. He says, you're no chiropractor. You're a human engineer.
I love it.
He was a real creative guy. And so we grabbed the website and everything back. It's 20 years now. But, yeah, he was the one who came up with that. And, I've studied so much stuff. It's really how you by looking at all these modalities, all these different things, you start getting these little peeks at how things could come together better.
Right.
And so that's where TNT came from. And TNT was a joke. I mean, it was a joke. I was at a seminar with another guy and he's like, yeah, you really should teach. I said, teach what? And he said, well, just, you can explain these things better than the teachers. And so just put it together and teach. I said, well, what are we going to call it? He says, call it dynamite.
Oh my God, that's good.
And I said, oh, TNT, that sounds good. And
Why
so
not?
we came up with a name 20 years before I actually formed the technique. So it's kind of funny.
Oh my God, that's
God
good.
bless Craig. He's out there somewhere.
I love that title though. It's perfect. Perfect.
Dynamite. I mean, what can you say?
It's amazing. I'm going to attend your class. Just so everybody knows, Dr. T will be at Omega Institute, which is a wonderful place. I know you love it also, and I've been there a few times. It's in Rhinebeck, New York. They do have facilities in different, they go to Costa Rica and that too. But in any event, he'll be there June 23rd to the 28th, correct? And then you have another class that you're going to be sharing with some other folks.
Yeah, that's all at Omega. And then we're also doing TNT in Prescott, Arizona. I think it's June
Prescott, yeah.
3rd and 4th or something like that.
So
8th or 9th. Sorry, I don't have my dates. It's all on my website.
That's okay. It'll be listed down below. We'll have all your links and everything.
Awesome.
People can find you and connect with you and so forth. One question I wanted to ask you, what type of groups, you said you're really not with the, don't call them the archangels.
Yeah, I just think, I've always felt that they're busy. When I started working with angels, I was always, I was always questioning myself, well, what angels are you working with? What exactly is happening? And so for my class, I needed to be able to define how this is happening so fast. How is this healing taking place so quickly? And so I came up with a set of instructions that, okay, this group is going to do this, and this group is going to be in charge of this. And so they're two different, very specific things that they do. But I just made it. I mean, I had to come up with some way to pass this on to you or other people. So I defined what this first group does and what the second group does, and they're two very different things.
I'm just picking up intuitively. Is like one group for emotions and the other group for more physical.
You're pretty. It's pretty close. I have one, emotion. What happens when we're yelled at when we're a kid, right? That scar comes in,
Right.
It sits in there our entire life. And then we have a tendency to have that reflected in our entire experience. So what happens when we got yelled at or whatever it was? What happens? It's like a glitch in the Matrix. It's kind of like the Matrix movie, the opening scene where it's like, there's a little glitch in there. So that's the first thing that we use the first group of angels for, is clean up those glitches. And so we have to, so in order to do that, the student needs to understand what those glitches are and how they're put together, how they're within the mind body, so that you can tell the angels how to clean them out of somebody. Right. And so there's so many things you could have a bad business venture and you shut it down and you move on in life and go do something else. You're also tied into everybody else who's had that bad business venture, right? So now you're attuned to a negative field. You have resonance with a negative field that's following you around.
Yeah.
So this is just an example. So we use one group of angels to eliminate that, to get rid of those glitches, so that you don't have that resonance with that field of failure.
Yeah.
And so you can walk away from that. I like cleared, clean, cleansed, and imperfect space. It's kind of like how we have, there's so much manifestation work out there, but what if all these errors and glitches are, we're out there saying, I am wealthy, I am rich, I'm going to be rich, or whatever our affirmation is. What if we have all this dirt, all these glitches, stopping the clarity with our intention and our active observation within the universe, within consciousness?
Right.
So using these angels to clean all that up, we become way better manifestors. Our lives change. I think anybody has gone through TNT and wouldn't agree that everything changes with this knowledge.
Yeah.
Your life just gets better.
I was always under the belief that, we come in with like trillions of beliefs from past lives or whatever. And if you just work on the physical, I just worked on a WWE wrestler. They could lift a bus, but give them something that throws them off emotionally or mentally. Like his girlfriend was stolen by a bigger star. They crumble. They can't deal. They become.
This is the emotional work is amazing. Arlene, I think you were on the call for that gentleman with the foot pain last week, where I was tracked back to this glitch with his father.
Yes.
Did you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, and his father had. Yeah.
Yeah. His father had it, but I heard. It's not. I don't consider myself psychic. I use clairaudience. So when you start entering into those spaces, you start to get little glimpse of what could possibly be gone wrong. Mm-hmm. And for him, it was that little glitch with dad in his heart. But remember, it was this tip of his metatarsal that was still painful. Even though all the other pain was gone out of his feet, 55 years of pain, there was one little spot he narrowed down to the tip of his metatarsal, right? Remember?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. and it was on his left foot. And so I just heard loud and clear his dad. It was dad. And so I had him metaphorically enter his heart, hand out an olive leaf to his father, and it disappeared.
That's cool.
So you are absolutely correct. We come in with all of these, all of this stuff, and that is a big part of a big part of this work. Whether it's a thought that we come in with, or an experience, and you hear this a lot, right? You hear this, oh, must have had my head cut off in a past life, and well, when we use angels to clear that thought, their neck gets better.
So let me ask you something about the TNT. So it's more you're teaching whoever comes to your class, because you don't have to be a medical professional. You don't have to have certifications. It could be whoever. It could be a plumber, whatever.
Anybody.
A cook,
yep.
Whatever. Are you transposing more for them using the angelic presence to do it? Because they don't, they wouldn't have the knowledge of anatomy, physiology, all that, which you do. I have some of it because I was in tech, so I kind of know the lay of the land and doing other work, but they don't. But they could walk away from your workshop and then have the ability to do this.
Yeah, because I really explain in the workshop, it's all about quantum mechanics, how the universe actually works. So do you need to know where the muscles insert on the groin that feed the hips? No, you just get a diagram out, and when you look at it, your active observation is collapsing all that potential. What's the potential? An omnipotent being that comes in and does what you instruct it to. That's what angels do for us. When we have the knowledge, and we can, I mean, if you can imagine it, you don't need a diagram. So I usually don't have a diagram with me, because I've seen it so much. I wrote the technique.
You're a doctor, but for other people, lay people out there, you give them.
Oh yeah. They leave with them. Yeah. They have we have charts, and we go through the whole body. And so if you have this kind of condition, this is how I would approach that. We have a lot of secrets. There's a lot of knowledge that's just not out there. I mean, there's so many things that doctors are just unaware of, and that includes chiropractors and acupuncturists. Everybody is just, there's just a lot of things that I think that I've discovered over 25 years that I plugged into this technique. 25 years ago, my ex-girlfriend and I broke up, and it was very clear and clean and cordial and loving and kind. We're done. And it was a 10, 12-year relationship. 4 days later, I wake up and pee a gallon of blood. What the heck was going on with that? So that's where this all started. I was like, this is impossible. How did I get an infection? I didn't break my skin. I didn't have, there was no way it was possible. Other than that must have been living inside of me. And when enough grief was released from my subconscious, it turned that pathogen loose in my body. Now, is it possible that pathogen lives off of chemicals from my experience of grief? Absolutely. And so we've discovered that we have pathogens in us that will release chemicals that keep you in a depressed state, that keep you depressed, sad, anxious. And fear's a big one. Anger, absolutely. Some people who just doesn't matter. They're mattering out, beautiful day out. They're still mad. We all know these people. Well, a lot of this are
so many people. And right now, bingo, the way the world is. It's in such there's so much anger. I mean, around here, people driving, it's like, I can't, we talk about this. It's like,
did you ever imagine we would see our world like, I can't, I'm still shocked. I don't look at the news. I'll take peeks because I like to see what they're planning.
But we've been doing spiritual work so long. You thought finally something is going to, people get it. It seems like it's going backwards.
I know. Well, there's a lot of push and pull that, I don't really talk too much publicly about. And that's the one thing about this class is I lay it all out on the line for this class. You come to this class, you walk away shell shocked because, there's a lot of things that are at play out there. They're pushing and pulling for power. And who are they? Well, it's true. It's real. There's a group of people. There's a group of people who want total control of us and our soul.
It's coming to a head. It's ready to,
the
temple is ready to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I completely agree. And so this is also why I think that TNT is so timely. I mean, I never imagined I'd be teaching this stuff, and I had clients kept pushing me, kept telling me, come on, you got to come up with something. Then they started giving me little peeks. They started showing me little things that I had long forgotten. Lots of little things happened in order for all the pieces to come together. So I'm really, it's in a state of gratitude every day, because I can't believe we're able to pass this on like this.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain layers of knowledge that I'm able to download. I mean, literally give you same access I have. It's the same access I have. And
you're so needed. We're so needed.
Oh my gosh.
We're all
are so needed.
And we have to come from this place. People that can't see, I'm pointing always to my heart. Get out of this. Get out of your head. Go into your heart.
Right.
Anybody, we really can't say, are we healers? I believe we're conduits for the energy. You were really zapped at 14, so you have the energy for you.
Wasn't any fun, I'll tell you that.
I find that most healers have been through really traumatic experiences.
Yeah, we have our stories. Yeah,
we've got stories. We won't go into them, but they're traumatic, and I think this is why we are.
That is a commonality in a lot of us, you know, and even people who aren't doing, you know, the kind of work we're doing. All events, good or bad, are needed, right? We have to have those things happen.
That's when it happens.
It forces us to grow. I mean, for years, I really wasn't a very good kid. I really feel like all of it was timed, right, to force me to grow, to become aware, and become a better person. And so, if you don't have any of these bad things happen, you kind of just get to go through it all without having any of that, you know, without having any of that experience.
Right, and it helps us to be better empaths because we walked a mile in their shoes, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Another question I have is, you said the angels decide if you're going to receive or not. That perplexed me a little bit, because I would think if you're open, you know, you're opening up and you're inviting them in and you're saying, here, do this. I mean, I know with anybody, even Christ being a master, not everybody was healed, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the ultimate question, right? Everybody says, well, why isn't it working for me? Well, you know, sometimes it could be something within me. It could be something within them. So, you know, I always, you know, if I don't have success, I'm always trying to have, well, look, don't give up. Find another person doing this work who comes from a different place. We have a lot of people doing this work now. We're well over 100 people, and a lot of them are having the same results I'm having. And so sometimes it could just be a different place that, you know, you come from than I do. You have more life experience than me. And so that extra experience could be built into your intent without even knowing it. And you could have better results with that.
Well, I'm just back to, though, the angel. This is because I'm looking at the angelic realm. And what I heard is the angels decide if you receive it or not. Not you, not me, not, you know, we're doing our thing. But I would think they're benevolent beings that they're going to do their utmost to give that piece.
Well, you know, I think that's, you know, it has to be a big part of it, you know, that they must have some input into that. It's a kind of a paradox. I don't go down that road too much. I expect and I plan on everybody who interacts with this body of work to get better.
Yeah.
And you know, not everybody does, unfortunately.
Right. What if they needed that cancer, you know, for that journey to learn something from that?
Absolutely.
Can't all be 100%. The whole world.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, those are the people that keep me up at night. Unfortunately, they're the ones who keep you thinking, but they're also the ones that push you to learn more, to find ways to help them.
Yeah. Another question: the TNT, does this can it work on everything? I mean, have you worked with people? MS. Of course, I know you mentioned COVID. Dementia and Alzheimer's, and
we try it with everything. We have to try it with everything, and we've had results with just about everything. I mean, I you know, do I have a cured MS case? No, I don't believe I do. We've seen some. I think there were some that we've treated over the years that could have become that had we not intervened. So there's knowledge about what drives MS and how it's created.
Just like Lyme's disease. Lyme's is the cousin of syphilis.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Sure.
that's a whole nother can of worms. Lyme's is similar to it's the original COVID. And so that's stuff
Yeah,
that we get
Lyme's
into in
bad.
class.
Yeah, that's
That's where that's some of the stuff we get into in class more. I don't like to talk about too many things publicly just because,
no,
you
I
know,
know, I
it's
know.
a new world we're in. It's a new
Forgive
world.
me, forgive me.
Yeah.
I'll zip it.
Now, Lyme's is also a horrible disease, and it's mostly detox. You know, we know it's some kind of pathogen. We know that it's We know that it's been altered, and we know that it's not just a tick bite anymore. That it's you know, getting out into other animals, other vectors, and different ways of coming down with that. So it's another big problem that humanity is facing. You know, I think we're seeing a lot of this stuff now just because of how our world has become. You know, we polluted the place pretty good. Our
Yeah.
diets are not where they should be. The average person eats the standard American diet, which is sad for a reason. And there's a lot of things, a lot of contributing factors driving what we're seeing. I mean, you look out across the news right now, all these people 50 years old, 50, you know, I mean, I can't believe the amount of things that we're seeing. We've never seen any of this before.
Right.
Hey, quick
It's all
question.
about,
Can you
yeah.
get rid of fat? Can we? I don't want to take Ozempic. Can I? Can you I want.
Take off 30 pounds real fast, just like that.
That's the transformation I'm
You'd
coming.
be a billionaire.
No,
You would be a
it certainly can increase your metabolism, and there's probably a reason that metabolism is slowed down. And so, to answer your question, yes, what if you have a pathogen in your body that is releasing a chemical that is slowing down your metabolism, or locking in an adverse emotional state that you're completely unaware of?
Oh,
I
well.
wasn't even aware I was that deep in grief when my ex-girlfriend and I broke up. That was all underneath the level of awareness. I mean, sure, we were sad, but not a gallon of blood worth.
Yeah. Wild.
So you know,
my blood.
yeah.
Oh my
Still
God.
a little shocking to remember that.
Do you find that fear is held in the kidneys, or certain things are held in certain organs of the body?
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to all of that. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to all of that. Fear, a lot of fear is organic.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that it means that you didn't have an experience that scared the living daylights out of you. It just all of a sudden comes on out of nowhere. Well,
Yeah.
what the heck is that? That's a pathogen. That's some kind of pathogen that escaped, usually gets into the nervous system. We do a lot of nervous system work. And so that will, if it's in there rattling a nerve, that nerve will send a message of anxiety to the brain. And especially if it's in the nerve to the adrenals, kidneys. So I find a lot of anxiety is organic, usually some kind of virus that's in the vagus nerve, usually,
Yeah.
or a poison, some kind of toxin that's in there.
Because I
can
find that the
drive-
clients that hold the most fear or the most anxiety clad patients have the biggest tumors and cysts on their kidneys.
Mm.
I see
Yeah,
a
that
pattern
would-
after working on so many people. You start seeing patterns. Pretty interesting.
Yeah. I you know, all that whole system of, okay, liver is anger, kidneys are fear, lungs are grief. Yeah, that all is pretty accurate. It's all very accurate. But I'm also finding there's more stuff. There's more things than just that emotion. So
Okay.
if there's a pathogen of grief releasing chemicals of grief, actually releasing these chemicals, encouraging more of that to happen in the body, how do we shut that off?
Right.
We have to kill the pathogen. And that's what these angels are doing. We're using them to modulate frequencies and vibrations to match pathogens that are releasing those chemicals.
Right.
We've seen depression, lifelong depression, not a single day where the sun is shining, not a single day that looks bright and fulfilling, and a 45-year-old disappear in 40 seconds. They never remember a day of their entire life. And their mother says the same thing to their grandfather, then it goes back down generationally. And they just assume that's normal. So I mean, some of the stuff that we're going to see is really quite shocking. It's a lot of fun when the light comes on and somebody like that. It's. I mean, I don't know what else you call a miracle. That is a genuine miracle when we see that, and we see it just about every class.
Do you work with the meridians?
Yeah, the angels do. I like we should know. I probably should have more with meridians.
Yeah.
So I'm not as in depth with them as I probably should be, but angels, they come in and supercharge everything. You know, they are doing the work. You know, I have the knowledge, Oh, you have a bad ankle that you've had for 25 years. You injured it in high school playing football. Should there really be a bad signal there causing pain 25 years later? Should the tissues be healed 25 years later? Yeah, they should be. And so having that knowledge, I can tell them, hey, come in here and reset that nerve. And they do it like that. It's that fast.
Oh, wow.
That's super interesting because, as you know, being a doctor, I know, and I'm sure Joanne knows, we get new livers every 6 months. That's one organ. It regenerates. You get a new liver. But then the question would be, well, if you have that happens, physiology in the body, why is it still in dis-ease? So it's like you bring back the baggage with it.
Well, the beliefs are still stuck there.
Yeah, absolutely. These are energetic patterns that get stuck there. Yeah. And so all the blood comes through the liver, right? About every minute, all the blood comes through the liver, and these pathogens, this vibration is there, so the entire body gets it.
Yeah,
has to. That's what the red blood cells do. They carry vibration, carry frequency, also carry nutrition and all these other things, oxygen. But they're we're a vibrational being that's just been collapsed into this physicality, right? Where there's really nothing here. we're a speck of light with a little bit of meat and bones packed in there, and this brilliant mind that we get to use, and interact with the universe. Everything we're looking at, everything that we are doing, we're continually modulating and molding our experience in our world. And so with all this extra knowledge thrown in on top, and angels, we can just tell them, hey, do this, do that, match this, have them change their vibration. A lot of this work is based on Royal Rife's work back in the 1920s of how pathogens, when you match them with the radio frequency, they explode.
Rife, yeah.
Rife was way ahead of his time. He brought in some wonderful stuff, and then I've been able to find other older doctors who are no longer with us, little bits of information from them that I was able to coalesce.
Right.
The biggest thing is passing on you being able to do this work in 5 minutes. I mean, that was the hardest part, is figuring out how to take this access and open it up for you. We all have access to angels. I mean, everybody has access to angels. But when we add the knowledge and this it's like a thought transfer. I learned this from in hypnosis school, where these guys were doing nonverbal hypnosis. It was on a tape, nonverbal hypnosis back in the 60s, early 70s, where a woman would come in, sit down in a chair, and they would touch her, and they wouldn't say a word to her, tap her on the head. Okay, you can go. She'd come back a week later. I quit smoking. I lost 20 pounds. My diet's changed. All this stuff was happening because they were like, well, we gave her, in hypnosis, it's suggestion, right? It's all, we're suggesting this. But they were like, yeah, our suggestions are all we're just thinking them. But you're going to quit smoking. Life is better when you're not smoking. But when I saw that, I always remembered that from that training. And I discovered another doctor showing how we have portals in our cranium, not the cranial sutures, different portals. And there's one very specific one that allows this level of thought transfer.
That's
pretty wild.
Wow.
That's pretty wild. Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Pretty wild.
We're wrapping up now, but I have a question. A couple of things. How's your family? How did they accept what you're doing? As far as I know, your brother's a doctor, chiropractor, and your sister's in medical. They're in different facets. Did they think you're a little cray-cray when you did you?
Am I frozen?
No, you're okay now. Did you hear the question?
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. One of my sisters has studied with me, and so she's using the work every day. She loves it, but I've always been kind of considered the crazy one. So none of it was. They're not surprised. Let's put it that way.
Hey, we're all crazy.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, we all are. Yeah, that's why we're here, right?
Cray, middle name.
I have a quick question. I've got a client that had a really rare cancerous tumor in the psoas, and they had to take out everything just to get back to that psoas. But in the process, they cut the femoral nerve. So she's permanently paralyzed in that leg.
Oh, God.
Really bad edema. Is something like that? Can TNT work on something like that?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a peripheral nerve, so those can regenerate, and they do. Lion's mane is really good for something like that.
Lion's
The
mane.
work itself would be really good for that, because anytime we've been snipped, it creates inflammation. What does inflammation do? It allows for these microscopic nanobacteria, cell wall deficient, these little tiny pathogens that we don't even study that stuff. I
Yeah.
remember when we looked at cell wall deficient forms in school, it was 1 minute study. and you're like, oh, we don't have to worry about those.
Right.
There's a whole book on those out there, a whole book on them, whole thick 1,000-page book showing how these things are. This is how antibiotics are becoming, the bacteria is becoming antibiotic resistant. They're changing their cell wall. And so all of a sudden, all these drugs that used to work don't work anymore. And so we're getting more and more of that happening. I don't remember your question exactly, but
Well,
with
I
the
was just
femoral
wondering,
nerve,
like,
with the femoral nerve, yeah, you would, so we
that's a
would look at
major
the,
nerve.
yeah, oh yeah, it's a major nerve, yeah. But there's no reason it can't. The only thing that will stop that from not growing back is your belief or her belief. If you believe it can't, it won't. And so you can use these to work on that, because again, if they cut it, you ever have a paper cut that wouldn't heal?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have, right? I got one right now, a little tiny paper cut, and I'm like, go away,
Yeah.
because bugs in our body move up there and set up shop and make them take longer time to heal. You want to know how healthy you are? Give yourself a paper cut and see how fast it heals.
Interesting.
That's how much burden you'll have on your body, because they will go anywhere there's inflammation. That's why when people get injured, sprained ankle, broken bone, this sort of thing, bugs move in there and set up shop. This is why they don't heal. It takes a lot longer to heal, a lot longer. It takes time for the immune system to come up with the right chemicals to go after these things that are changing shape, trying to hide from it. It's all part of the class. It's just a different understanding of how these things are hindering our healing.
So I have a bunch of bugs that set up shop in my groin, and they're not moving.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yep.
And they're very happy.
Yep. Do we want to fix that?
They're very happy. Yeah, but we have to wrap up. We have to.
Let's make our.
Okay.
Yeah. So
let's wrap up, and then I'll fix it for you.
A final question. Thank you. Yes. A final question. Well, Joanne, do you have anything else?
Those are my main questions.
Okay. So Dr. T, this is Beacons of Balance, and we talk about being in balance. So you yourself, what do you do for Dr. T, for Anthony Cahill, during the day, at the end of the day, to put yourself back here?
Well, I listen to my Relax to Heal just about every day. That's on my website. It's free. There's a heart resonance technique that's on there. I do that every day. I do a lot of visualization. I do a lot of, and some people be like, oh, well, you're meditating. Well, for me, it's visualization. It's more metaphoric. I do meditate. I'm always listening, whether it's hypnosis or ocean sounds. I do energy style exercise. I don't lift weights. I don't run or jog. I play disc golf. I have fun. I swim in the ocean every day when I'm here. I definitely get my feet in the earth, and I eat really well. Lots of fresh foods. Really, our mind is the key to good health. How do we feel? How are we thinking that we feel? Giving gratitude every day to feel well. I mean, I feel blessed. I think I've only missed 2 days in the office in 25 years, I think that keeping the mind in the right place, that's what feeds our body, and if we don't feel well, that's it'll start, the body will start moving towards that direction.
Yeah,
I have a lot of massage. I'm a big fan of massage. I think everybody should get massage at least once a week.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, we need it. We're in this very stressful world, and I just think that those are, if you want to stay healthy and balanced, those are the things I do.
And also laughter.
Key is laughter is key. If it's not fun, I'm not. You won't see me around there.
We're the two. I already said this when I met my now husband, when we were on, met online. Anyways, he was sitting across from me, and I said to him, "My middle name is F-U," and his eyes went. And I said, it's F-U-N. And if you're not F-U-N, I don't want to know you.
Very, very good. Very, very good characteristic needed. Fun is,
So thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much. Amazing.
Everyone out there, thank you for seeing us, listening to us. And from our hearts to yours, always in total love and peace. All of Dr. T's information will be listed below. Please subscribe, like, leave your comments. We want to grow. We want to grow. So keep us growing. And always in total love and balance and peace. If you have peace, you have it all. Right?
Exactly.
You're not worrying
Just
about,
keep shining.
about anything else.
You're more powerful than you realize, guys. You are beautiful.
Continue to be those beacons of light. Let it out there and connect with everyone in love. Thank you, Dr. T.
Thank you,
You're
Dr.
so welcome.
So glad we finally connected. And looking forward
Likewise.
to meeting you in person.
That was fun.
Likewise. I can't wait.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
And wait.